Okay, we're going to try something together that, to my knowledge, has never been demonstrated before. And so if we're successful in the end, we will indeed be making history together. Okay, so as you can see, I have a good selection of cards here of various suits and values, all scrambled up. And in fact, we're going to go ahead and just mix these cards so that even if a person saw the original arrangement of the cards, there is just no way anyone could know what cards are in the various piles that we'll set out at the very end. Okay, so since we saw the cards, let's begin to mix them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dealing out the cards until you say stop. Okay, stop there. Okay, stop there. Okay, that's just fine. Stop there. Very good. Okay, and then we're going to stack in opposite order really to mix these cards well. Okay, so we kind of dealt from left to right, and then we're going to stack from right to left. Okay, should we mix the cards a little bit further? Okay, so what we're going to do now is, which is kind of fun, I'm going to deal out the cards into four little piles, which I'm going to make sure there's 4 in each. Okay, making a big mess of thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to focus on what I'm doing here. Last 4 can go down as the final pile. How would you like these piles stacked? Maybe to keep it kind of orderly, since I'm making a mess of things here, would you like the top row stacked on top of the bottom, or the bottom on top of the top? You want the bottom on top? Okay, that's fine. Your choice. And then from there, how would you like these stacked? Left to right or right to left? And we can do a leapfrog if you've seen that before. That's where you leap over its neighbor. Okay, you'd like to go from right to left. Just normal stacking or leapfrog? Leapfrog. Okay, so you leap over the neighbor. Leap over the neighbor there. How would you like these stacked? Left on right? Okay, very good. Okay, well, let's begin to create our piles that we're going to need at the very end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal out into 4 piles. Now, if you were here, you could tell me essentially how to build up each level. Where do you want this one? There, and then here, down there, and then there. What about this one? Up there, there, down here, and then there. There again. Okay, there, here, up above, there, down there, up, down. How about this one? Down, up, down. Okay. What about this one? Up, down, up. Okay, that's fine. What about the last 4? Up, down there, and down here. Okay. Well, this gives us 4 piles that really have been arrived at through random mixing of the cards, in which you, as the spectator, sounded in on most of the important steps, actually. If you go back and rewind the video, you'll see that that's the case. But we're going to mix these little packets further, and we're going to mix them differently, and it's going to be up to you as to how we mix these. So maybe just to keep track of things, we'll call this pile 1, 2, 3, 4, and so I'll pick up the first one. So of all the shuffles that you've seen on the Hidden Structures channel, which one would you like me to perform on this little packet? The Mange shuffle? Would you like the over, under, or under, over? Under, over. Okay, so you go under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Okay, what about the second pile? How would you like that stacked? Or mixed, that is. The Feral shuffle. Oh, okay. Well, we haven't done that one for a while. This is where you split the cards exactly in half, and then you just interlace them perfectly. That's called a Feral shuffle. It's kind of a cool little shuffle. Okay, what about the one down here? You want to do the down under? Australian? Cool one, yeah. Down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down. Last one goes on top. Okay, and then the fourth one, how would you like this one mixed? Into 4. Okay, so 1, 2, and maybe I'll do it like this, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you want these, maybe we can stack the top on top of the bottom, or bottom on top. You want top on bottom, okay? And would you like left on right, or you want right on left? Okay, very good. Okay, why don't we mix each packet just one more time so that you don't fall asleep here. So what should we do for this one right here? Klondike. Okay, that's one that we've seen before. This is where you take the top and bottom cards off as one. That's great. And then this one next, what would you like? An even up jog. Okay, so this is where you push forward or jog forward the even position cards, strip them out, random stack. You want right on left? That's just fine. What about this one here? You want a Chardelier 1. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so this is where it's a Chardelier shuffle, but you move just one card at a time. Just one card at a time. That's called a Chardelier 1. Okay, and why don't we finish with the last one? What would you like me to do with the last one? Oh, a Bessey 2-2. I'm surprised that you remember the name of that shuffle. Okay, so this is where you take the top. I'll show you what it is. You go 1, 2 from the top, 1, 2 from the bottom, 1, 2 from the top, 1, 2 from the bottom. It's called a Bessey 2-2. Okay, would you like to mix any of these further? You would. Which pile? Why don't we just mix one more pile one more time? Third one down here. You want to do an alternate Klondike. Okay, a judicious one. Okay, so this is where you Klondike into 4 piles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can stack from left to right, right to left, a leapfrog. You want to just go from right to left? No leapfrog. Okay, that's just fine. Okay, well, hopefully you're convinced that these packets are kind of beyond the knowledge of anyone here. And now what we're going to do, which is kind of fun, I'm going to move these little packets over to the side because we need, oh, I lost my little pen here. We need the white piece of paper here for doing a little bit of work here. I'm going to fix this a little bit because I'm OCD. There we go. Okay. What we're going to do is actually... doesn't matter which one we pick up first, so maybe I'll just pick up this one here. You truly could dictate exactly which one we work with next. Okay, so if you think about the kind of mixing we've been doing, we've been dealing out into like even number of piles, 2 cards, 4 cards, even 8. Didn't we do 8 at one point? Okay, so dealing out into 3 is a completely different way of mixing the cards. Think about it. Okay, so I did a triangle deal, and then what we're going to do is Klondike pairs to the table, and I want you to tell me how you would like me to pick these up. Top right, bottom left, okay, top left, okay, and then bottom right. Okay, there we go. And then what I'll do is I'll perform a what's called a full Chardelier shuffle. Sorry, not Klondike. A full Chardelier shuffle. We're moving more than just one card at a time. Now, if you were here, I could have you even just cut the packet randomly if you would like. Okay? And then to finish, we'll just deal out into 2 piles. That's all we'll do. Now we're going to set aside these 2 little piles as special. These will be our special piles. Well, they're at least piles in which we hope something interesting has happened. Okay, let's go ahead and do our little triangle deal again. Okay, and that really scrambles the cards. And maybe we'll go ahead and instead of doing the Klondike like we did before, what we'll do is we'll kind of do a similar thing to what we did earlier with the 4 piles. You want this one up there, this one up here. Now, of course, we only have 8 now. Where would you like this one? Upper right, bottom left, bottom right, upper left. Okay. And then how would you like these? Do you want the upper right picked up, bottom left, top left, and then bottom right? Okay. And then we'll just give this a good Chardelier mix or a cut. If you were here, I'd have you do that. And then we'll just deal out into 2 piles, as we did with these 2. So we're kind of accumulating these little piles of 4 cards. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, so we have one more here. So let's do, well, one more. One more. The top here. Okay, so we're going to stack these. And what I thought we would do differently here is go ahead and just deal down 4 cards and then drop the remaining cards as a second pile. Okay, so that kind of cuts out some of those intermediate steps. Okay, that kind of speeds things up a little bit. And then the very last one, what we'll do is Okay, so let me just do our little triangle deal here. There we go, like that. And then at this point, I think what I'll do is I'll just separate the cards here. We'll have the bottom half go there as one pile, top half as another pile. So we got our two little piles that way, so that's a different way of doing it. Okay. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I have a written prediction here. It's kind of been hiding in plain sight the whole time. It's underneath, I think I wrote it underneath this piece of paper here. So let's just, what did I write? Let's see what is going on here. Each of the 8 piles, we do have 8 of them, 4 cards each, which is true, will consist of either, what? CH? Or SD? What the heck is that referring to? CH. What is CH? I'm going to have you help me decipher what in the world. What is our prediction even trying to say here? CH or SD? Okay, well, if you wouldn't mind helping me here, we've got to figure out what in the world the written prediction is even telling us. Okay, so each pile of 8 cards will consist of CH. Okay, I'll put this one down here. I think you can see it here. We're having a hard time fitting everything. 8 piles of 4 is a lot to deal with. Down there, I think, yeah, you can see those. And then let's see. Have you figured out what in the world this is referring to? CH. What the heck is CH? Oh, wait. Isn't C for clubs, H for hearts, and then S for, yeah, S for spades and D for diamonds. Is the prediction true? Let's see. Each of the 8 piles of 4 cards will consist of either clubs and hearts or just spades and, wait a second, I'm just looking at these. These are spades and diamonds, clubs and hearts, spades and diamonds, clubs and hearts, spades and diamonds. You've got to be kidding me. Clubs and hearts, spades. How in heaven's name, working together, were we able to pull this off where this kind of cryptic written prediction ended up being true, despite all of the random choices being made by you along the way? I don't know how anyone could have seen that this would occur. How is that even possible? Well, it's possible because of a 4-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8. That is why it is possible. So that's what we're talking about today. Okay, so I'll show you how this is done, and we'll talk about the mathematics behind it and some newer ideas. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. So I know that was kind of a lengthy introduction, giving a performance there. Okay, so why don't we, let's talk about, quote, some the bigger picture first. Okay, the bird's eye view first, and then we'll get into the specifics of this particular demonstration, and I'll show you exactly how you can do it. Okay, so you can do it in such a way that it's going to work for you every single time. Okay, I went out of my way to lay those out perfectly, and I needed to do this instead. Okay, so today we're talking about 4-tuple Bessey sequences of order 8. Now, if you've been watching anything on the channel on this little series, you know that we're looking at n-Tuple Bessey sequences of order 8 so far, right? Okay, so what I started with is something having this structure right here, okay? So if you've watched the previous videos in this little series devoted to n-Tuple Bessey sequences, you'll immediately recognize this as a, quote, 4-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8. Okay, so all of this can be condensed down to just this notation here. The little 4s for exponents are representing concatenation. So 1 to the 4th means 4 ones, or repeated, and so forth. Okay. Now I do point out, and so this could be helpful for you, when we have a structure like this, there's quite a few ways that you can mix that and not undermine its structure as a 4-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8. Okay, so here's some. I didn't use all of them by any stretch, not in this performance. It would have taken too long. So one is a Klondike followed by an LR, in which you stack either the left pile on top of the right or right on top of the left. Well, that will either preserve this exactly or invert it, and inverting it's not a problem. You could do a Klondike followed by an even or odd up jog, and that will also either preserve or invert this 4-tuple Bessey sequence. You can always do a first shall be last, last shall be first, FL squared F, which is what I did. I dealt out into piles until you said stop, you know. And this is really just equivalent to a packet reversal. Well, if you reverse this sequence, you just get its inversion. Okay, but it's still a 4-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8, so that won't hurt it. Now, a new one. This is cool, actually. So I truly did show you something brand new in terms of a mixing procedure that works beautifully for these 4-tuple Bessey sequences of order 8. So what I did was I dealt out 8 piles of 4 cards each. Now, instead of dealing like left to right, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I dealt down like 1, 2, 3, 4, next pile, 5, 6, 7, 8, next pile, and so forth. Okay, so you can deal down into 8 piles of 4 cards each. Now, what's really nice is the final 4 cards in your hand, you don't need to actually, you can if you want, you can deal those down, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will seem a little weird to the spectator. Why are you dealing the final 4 cards? You can see that there's 4, so just drop them on the table. Well, it ends up that you can do that. You can just drop them on the table as is, and it won't harm anything. Isn't that wonderful? And then once you have your 8 piles of 4 cards each, you can stack them from, like if you had them on one big long line here, you know, 8 piles, you could stack from left to right, right to left, or leapfrog stacking in either order, either direction. Now, because of the leapfrog stacking, another way to think about it is you could go piles 1, 2, 3, 4, piles 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you can stack the top 4 on top of the bottom, or the bottom 4 on top of the top. Okay, so that technically is a leapfrog stacking when I did that. Okay, so all of these shuffles and stacking procedures either preserve or invert 4-tuple Bessey sequences of order 8. So in other words, none of them will harm the fundamental structure of this sequence here. Okay, and so here is the performance kind of structure, and I'll kind of remind you of this in just a moment. So I started with a 4-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8, and I can show you how I built it. And then at one point, we kind of mixed it and so forth, but eventually we created 4 piles of 8 cards. And as I step through the tutorial, you'll see where this falls in the demonstration as far as what step gives you these 4 piles of Bessey sequences of order 8. Okay, but when we did that, when we had these 4 piles, these are technically coupled. Coupled piles just means that on each level the cards are related in some way. So we have 1s on top, and then 0s second down, 0s third down, and so forth. So we're going to have 4 Bessey sequences of order 8 that are, quote, coupled, okay, in this way. Okay, so we just kind of keep that in mind when we get to that point, okay? And now let's go ahead and actually look at the actual performance itself. Okay, so what was the routine itself? How did I set it up? Kind of why did it work? All of those important things. Well, I mentioned here having a written prediction. Okay, and that was the written prediction I wrote. Okay, so I had it underneath my white piece of paper. Okay, now create a 4-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8 where the 1s are either clubs or hearts, and the zeros are spades and diamonds. Okay, so why don't we maybe quickly do that. Okay, so maybe the first thing to realize is it's like we're grouping together the clubs and hearts. Now you can have more clubs than hearts, or vice versa. In fact, in some ways it's better to not have an equal number of those, because it just makes things look a little too balanced for the spectator, and they're going to think, oh, okay, well, things are like just perfectly organized and designed here, it's going to work. So you can really throw them off by having a different number of clubs versus hearts. Now you do need 16 total, 16 cards that are either clubs or hearts, 16 cards that are spades and diamonds. Okay, so why don't we go ahead. So what I'll do is I'll put the spades and diamonds over here, clubs and hearts on the left. Okay, and then I'll just quickly show you how I build it. It's not actually too hard to build. It just takes a few minutes, actually a minute or two. Okay, so I have 16. There should be 16 clubs or hearts here. And like I said, I actually do have more. Let's see, 3, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I have more clubs than hearts by 1 or something. Okay, so here are the clubs and hearts. It's probably good to mix these, which is something I did. I just kind of randomized them at the beginning. I mean, you didn't see this. This is all pre-set up, right? Okay, so here's my little clubs and hearts pile. And here are the spades and diamonds. So, you know, it's a pretty good mixture there, but it's looking like you just don't want anything that looks kind of suspiciously orderly in some way. So, you know, however, in fact, when I set up mine, I did kind of move, after I set up my entire four-tuple, I kind of moved a few cards just for visual appeal to make it look, yeah, those are just all over the place, right? They're not in any, you know, particular order or whatever, okay? So these are like, you can think of these as ones, and these are zeros, okay? 1 and 0, okay? And now we're going to build our four-tuple Bessey sequence. In fact, let's go ahead. We need, so let's bring this one back for just a second. Okay, so these are ones, and these are zeros. Okay, so we essentially just build a Bessey sequence of order 8 in which it has this repeating property of the ones and zeros. Okay, so a four-tuple, so what it means then is we need, quote, 4 ones. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 clubs or hearts. Okay, so that's like having 4 ones there. Okay, now our zeros, if you remember, are the spades and diamonds. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. 8 of those. Okay. Or maybe it's better to think of them as 2 sets of 4. We probably should do that, actually, so that you can kind of keep track of why it is a Bessey sequence structure. Okay, and then we need 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and these are, quote, ones. I'm jogging them to kind of show you something important when we're done. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are, quote, our zeros. And then we need 2 sets of 4 of ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is like a little 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. The remaining one. Another 1. And then the remaining 4 cards are, quote, a 0. So this is like, so a little packet of 4. So this is like a 1. Packet of 4, all of these are packets of 4, okay? So this is going to be like a 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, just as indicated here, okay? So this is truly a four-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8, okay? So the order here is referring to the fundamental length of the underlying Bessey sequence. And the underlying Bessey sequence is one of order of length 8, okay, or order 8. Okay, so we're all ready. This is a 4-tuple. It has this structure here, and as I mentioned, you can do various mixing of this right now. It won't harm it. Okay, and so I've shown that already. Okay, so we can perform those mixes I just showed you, and then eventually what we do is we deal out. Now you have to realize that like the 4 top ones are like our ones. It's like 1, 1, 1, 1. And then we, for the start of our 4-tuple Bessey sequence. Well, if we're going to build 4 piles that are like coupled, they're going to be the same at every level relative to, quote, zeros and ones. A 0 here meaning a spade or diamond, and a 1 meaning club or heart. So it actually doesn't, so we're going to build up 4 piles, but it actually doesn't matter like where. Now this is the next set of 4. It can go anywhere, so the spectator can decide this. I mean, that's incredibly powerful. Okay, same thing here. So you just have to realize that you build up one level at a time and complete that level, and you can't go wrong. You're safe. Okay, and then there. Okay, so what is guaranteed to happen, which in some ways is pretty darn remarkable, each one of these is a little baby Bessey sequence of order 8. Okay, so each of these. So why don't we just quickly show you that. Okay, so maybe, oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was going off the camera. Too far there. Why don't we show this one first? Okay, so remember, a 1 is either a club or a heart. A 0 is a spade or diamond, right? Okay, so what do we have for first? Oh, okay, so this would be like, so this is a diamond, so that's called a 0. Here's a club, so it's like 0, 1, 1. There's a spade, 0. And then there's a club, it's counted as a 1. And then a diamond and spade count as zeros, and then a club as a 1. So this is like 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Well, that's just the inversion of a ordinary Bessey sequence of length 8. Well, the inversions are just as good as the original sequence, so that's not a problem. All of these will, quote, be inverted, because once we showed 1, we know these piles are coupled, meaning they have the same characteristic on each level. So there we go. So there's a diamond. So that's like a 0, a heart and club, 1, 1, another diamond, 0, and then a club, it's like a 1, spade, diamond, a couple of zeros, and then a heart, which is a 1. Okay, so I think you probably can see and will believe that that's the case. Here's a spade, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Just check this last one. Okay, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so these are all little Bessey sequences of order 8, and in particular they're coupled, which is really nice. Okay, now having them coupled is not essential actually, because it doesn't hurt. It ends up just being a consequence of what we did, starting with this 4-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8. And the reason it doesn't really matter is because we're going to individually now mix these. So some of these will be inverted from its current state to become what we might call a, quote, normal Bessey sequence, where the top card is like a 1. So the top card might now be a heart instead of a diamond, a spade, or a diamond. Okay, so it may invert these, but that won't hurt anything, as you'll see moving forward. Okay, now at this point, you truly can use any of the shuffles that we have performed on Bessey sequences. Any of those can be performed on any one of these in any order and in any quantity. Okay, and I was actually trying to keep the number shuffles down, believe it or not, even though maybe it felt like we had too many nonetheless. So really, the spectator can decide, okay, I want to perform the Mon shuffle on this one, down under on this one, a Pharaoh on this one, a Klondike on this one, and then maybe a Charlier one on this one, alternate Klondike, a Bessey 2-2, you know, so forth. So any of the shuffles can be performed on any of these, and it may invert one of them. In fact, let's go ahead and I'm going to intentionally, quote, invert this by just reversing the order of the cards. So now the top card is a club, which we've classified as a 1, right? So this one's inverted versus those, but it's not a problem because now what we're going to do to separate them into piles of 4 is we're going to perform this triangle deal. Here is, I'm going to go ahead, maybe I'll move these off, and you can't see them. It's okay. Go like this. Okay, so I'm going to bring these decompositions. This is a write-up of, I haven't shown you ever, actually. This is the first time I'm displaying it, actually, on my channel. So here are some nice decompositions that you can do of any Bessey sequence of order 8 that will divide the Bessey sequence into a pile of, quote, 1s and a pile of, quote, 0s. Okay, so that's kind of where we're headed. Okay, so now maybe I'll come over here because this is the very end, the reveal. Okay, cover that up. Okay, so I think I used all of these and plus 1 because I only listed 3 here and I had 4 piles to kind of decompose. But I think on all of them I used the triangle deal. So if you've watched any videos on Bessey sequences, you would know that if you have a Bessey sequence of order 8, which we have here, a very nice way of converting it from this 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 structure to this separate blocks, 1s on top, let's say, and 0s on the bottom, is the triangle deal. Okay, and that was actually a discovery of Warner Miller, who's one of my subscribers. You might remember I extolled his virtues in multiple videos for finding this. So this will actually now create this kind of structure. Okay, so what that means in particular is like the spades and diamonds will be in one, either the top or bottom half, and the other half will consist of just clubs and hearts, which is the case here. Okay, so that's what this triangle deal will do to each of these. It kind of separates them into 4 1s and 4 0s. Okay, well, from there, I mean, this is pretty powerful here because now, so think if you have 4 1s and 4 0s, if you Klondike pairs, you'll be taking that 1 paired with that 0. So it's like having a 0 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1. Well, if you have a bunch of, quote, 0 1s, you can randomly stack these and it's going to alternate now in value, like a 1 0 1 0. So it'll alternate in value 4 times now. Okay, so it's going to be cyclic at this point. Well, being cyclic means you can perform as many cuts or Charlier shuffles as you like. It won't harm it. Okay, well, since it is cyclic, like 1 0 1 0 1 0, well, to get back here, you can just deal like left rights, like 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0. So now you've separated either the clubs and hearts into one half. Oh, sorry about that. Clubs and hearts into one half, and the spades and diamonds into the other. Okay? So that will agree with our written prediction that I showed you at the beginning. Okay? So any of these decomposition systems over here, this one was kind of fun. So you do the triangle deal. Now remember, you stack in opposite order. Okay, that's needed to convert it from a Bessey sequence to this. And then what's really nice here, think about it. It's like having 4 1s on top of 4 0s. Well, if you're going to build up 4 little piles, you could, the 4 top cards are 1s. So it doesn't actually matter where you put them. So now we have a layer of 1s. And now if you put the next 4 anywhere on these, you have a layer of zeros, right? And so now if you stack these in any order, you're going to have an alternating sequence, right? Of 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 repeated. Okay. Now, if I said that wrong for the last one, I'm trying to think. I probably did. Yeah, I maybe referred to the alternating sequence as 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Technically, I think it was 0, 1, 0, 1, but it's a cyclic packet nonetheless. Okay, so that's the important thing. So this is now cyclic. Okay, so we're down here. You can randomly stack those as I did, and then you can perform a Charlet shuffle or just random cuts, and then you just deal out into 2 piles. And each pile will consist of either clubs and hearts or spades and diamonds. And that's the case here, right? Okay, why don't we can do one more here just to be kind of complete, I guess. So I did the triangle deal. I think I did it for all of them. I was going to have the fourth one be a little different, and so maybe I'll do it. I'll show you what I was planning on doing, and I, for some reason, spaced it. Whoops. Okay, so I've dropped cards. Sorry about that. Okay, where did these come from? Oh, they just came from the top, right? Because diamonds and spades, 1 block, clubs and hearts. Okay, sorry, dropped them. Okay, and then so what I did here was, you were already looking at this kind of structure, so you can just 1, 2, 3, 4, drop the rest down. You've separated them, right? 4 ones, ones meaning of one kind, and 4 zeros, okay? So here, spades, diamonds of one kind, clubs, hearts. Okay, and then why don't we do the final one? And in fact, I'll show you the way I was going to do it. You can do the triangle deal. I think what I did is I did the triangle deal, remember that? And then stacked in opposite order, and then I just pushed off. I said, okay, we'll have 4 here, 4 there, and that works just fine. Another way to do it is, to claim that you're using your psychic powers to divide these in some special way. The universe is going to guide you, right, or something. But in my mind's eye, this is a Bessey sequence of order 8, so you can think of it as like a 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. That's really the structure it has. So in your mind, you just repeat that. Maybe you put the 1s on the left, 0s on the right, but make it out as if the universe is kind of telling you what to do. So this is what I'm saying to myself, but you don't say it out loud. So 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay, and then you can make it look like you're at odds as to where each one should go. Kind of hesitate or temporarily put one down in the wrong place and then move it, or however you want to use your theatrical skills, I guess. Okay, but this will separate it. Okay, so here we either have clubs and hearts. Well, we just have clubs, which is fine. And then these have to all be spades and diamonds. One of those two or both mixed. Okay. Very good. Okay, so that gets us through 4-tuple Bessey sequences of order 8. And I'm not absolutely sure if I'll do a final video on these n-Tuple Bessey sequences. Of course, if I do, I'll most likely do it on a 5-tuple Bessey sequence of order 8. But anyway, so you can watch for that. I'm not sure if I've done enough to give you an idea as to how you can make use of these n-Tuple Bessey sequences. If so, I may stop with this video. If I get some new original ideas for one dealing with 5-tuple Bessey sequences, there may be a final video coming sometime in the coming weeks. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Hidden Structures channel.